Thank you very much, Rangita. Good afternoon, class. It's good to meet you all. I'm glad that we still find time to communicate, even in these desperate times. Of course, COVID-19, like any other crisis and epidemic of this multitude, has a gender dimension, and COVID-19 is no different. It has highlighted some of the underlying inequalities that affect women, but also many other parts of our societies. And in a crisis, many women do not always suffer because of, for instance, the health and the disease itself. They are affected by the circumstances surrounding the way we react, surrounding the way in which we coordinate, and surrounding the manner in which we deal with the inequalities. And this crisis is no different. Women are being affected because they are mostly in the informal sector, and therefore they are hard to target for some of the fiscal stimulus package that countries are operating. Women are suffering from gender-based violence because the laws that lock them in a house without a capacity to move, to get away, lock them in with their abuser. Women are also suffering because of the increase of the burden of care. Because when hospital can no more cope with the inflow of patients, women become caregivers, and therefore they become the people who are actually supplementing the health systems of countries. So all of these are affecting women, are making women to be in this difficult situation because of the underlying gender inequality. Now, Nelson Mandela, and if you now think of racism as well, that is also another, we say we have a shadow pandemic, which is violence against women. We have COVID, which is a health pandemic. And then now we have been brought into the situation where we have to confront the pandemic of racism. Mandela said that no human beings are born hating another just because of their race or their religion. You actually learn racism and discrimination, suggesting that it can also be unlearned. And he dedicated his life trying to find the goodness in people that could make them change the way they are, because unlike whether you have a limb in the body which is attached to you, racism is not something that is attached to you. You can actually learn it, and it is hard. But he also did not believe you sit back and expect the goodness of the people just to shine through. You organize, you get out in the streets, you use laws to call for change. And of course, like maybe many of you, he was a lawyer, he knew exactly how you use the systems and the law in order to make about change. And he became a global activist because of doing that. He also believed when you organize, when you have a crisis, just make sure that you're clear about your demands so that your anger does not only become you fighting and communicating what makes you angry, but communicating what change you want and stay with those demands. And in South Africa, that was one of his exemplary action as an activist. When an activist of South Africa of note was killed by the regime at the time when we were negotiating for ending of apartheid, after that, he pulled out of the negotiations. We all pulled out, and he said, I'm not going to do anything about these negotiations until we have an election date. That was a big concession to extract from the regime. So yes, we have crisis, we have an unexceptional pain on people, but let's make sure we demand something that is concrete so that we have something to take away from this crisis. Thank you.